Who are you? It's a fair question. You know, they wonder why this guy is doing this because he's attracted a lot of attention. It's a fair question. Who are you? And he could have said, I am the son of Zechariah and Elizabeth. He could have said, I am a Levite. That's the tribe I belong to. I am a descendant of Aaron, the brother of Moses. He could have said anything like that. But he didn't define himself in the way we normally would think. He was more than just a body. He was more than just a mind. He was more than just a spirit. He was a purpose. I am the voice crying out in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord. This is my purpose in life. This is why I am in this world. This is why I'm here. And it's an amazing thought that he defined himself by his purpose, his reason for being, that he had come to understand that, and he was living that out day in and day out in a way that touched the lives of others in profound ways. You know, sadly, there are some people in this world who never figure out why they're here. They never figure out any purpose or value in their life. And some who have known, they've forgotten. But the reality is that you and I are called to be more than just people who define themselves by where we come from. We define ourselves by why we are here, what our purpose, our value is in this world. And that's something that we need to come to understand and live out because it makes a huge difference. Again and again, people will say to me, you know, Father, I don't know what God's plan is for me. Especially, I encounter that when people have gone through something like some sort of illness, cancer, heart attack, whatever, and they're, you know, I remember one man who had a double lung transplant who was just amazed that he was given the second chance at life. And Dave was his name, and he said to me, you know, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why God has done this for me. What's God's plan? And he was surprised when I responded by laughing. I just said, oh, Dave, you need to understand that God doesn't have a plan for you. God has a plan, and B plan, and C plan, and D. God has lots of plans for you. God is never that simple that there is a reason for our being in this world. No, you and I are a gift, just like John. His name means a gift of God. But that's true of us all. None of us is here by accident. All of us are part of the divine plan of God to share God's love, God's life with this world. Remember, all of us were created in the divine image. Each one of us formed from the earth, from one generation to the next. All of us were formed in the divine image. In the divine image, he created them, male and female. He created them. We're told that right at the very beginning of the Bible. That you and I, created in the divine image, also have divine reasons for being here. That somehow there are things that only you and I can do, that others might try but will never succeed. Do we have to know what those are? No. In fact, sometimes I think it's a blessing not to know that. You know, one of the things that I experienced over this last year with all that I went through was I got a ton of cards and several notes from people who told me things that I had no recollection of at all. You know, they reminded me of this moment or that moment where I said or did something for them, and, you know, they still remember that. And it was very touching to know that somehow You know, my life has had purpose and value far beyond what I realize. And I think that when I stand before the Lord, I think the same is true for you, that when you stand before the Lord, those things that you thought were important, Joan, God's going to say, not so much. But then he'll show you the other points in your life that you never dreamt touched others. Because that's the way God works, in very subtle ways. But you and I, like John, have been a voice in the wilderness. That you and I have been called to speak God's love to others. You and I have been a voice in the wilderness that have been called to live God's love in a way that affects the lives of others. You and I have been called by God as a gift to help change the direction of this world, to build up God's kingdom in a way that will bring his life, his love, his mercy, his compassion, his kindness to a world that desperately needs it. They come to John and say, "Who are you?" And he says, I'm not the Christ. I'm not him. Look somewhere else. I'm not even Elijah. I'm not the prophet promised by the book of Deuteronomy. I'm not the one who somehow is going to change it all. But I'm going to make a difference. I come to prepare hearts to be ready to receive the Lord when he comes. He's here among you. You don't recognize him, but he's here. And I'm going to say the reality is still true this day, my sisters and brothers. He's here, present among us. He's present in every one of our relationships. He's present not just in our lives, but in our world. And you and I are called to share his life, his love, his mercy, his compassion with others in a way that brings his life more fully into this world. John defined himself not by his name or his heritage, but by his purpose. May you and I learn the message of John and find in our lives a purpose that goes far beyond ourselves in helping to build God's kingdom in a way that prepares for the Lord's return at the end.